Been out for a really long walk. It's a lovely sunny but chilly day, and as often happens when I'm on my long walks, I think of things, thoughts, people come to me. It's not that I have forgotten any of you, I just don't think about you because it's hard enough just to be here in the present. I think about Justine now and again, and even a little bit of Patty. Can't ever forget entirely. And I also think of you. It's not the first time I've thought of you. It's not the first time I've actually had a word with you, talked to you, written to you. But they are journal entries, you could say. Even though technically they are shareable, they are said in a way that allows me to get out the feeling I have without having to involve anybody else. I've said it, so you have to hear it. Is no longer something that I subscribe to. But if there was anyone that I would want to see, to hang out with again, it would be you. Started to have thoughts of what it would be like to have you come here, to come to Europe, to come to England, for me to show you. I don't know what the future is exactly, but I'm not sure that Mum lives here anymore. I don't know if she'll ever be coming back here. She might, just because of the circumstances with the virus. Some of the homes, the care home, the hospices are closed. Strange. So much fear, but she needs a kind of care that she can't get here, which means that for a while I live here. It's 2 bedrooms. I would like to see you. I would like to give you an opportunity to come here, for me to look after you, take you places. I've got that little car still. I don't know what will stay and what will go. It's all hers, it's all her insurance, it's all her money. I don't know what's going to happen. But I would like that, if it were possible. Because it would be possible to do it properly. Little Asperger couple. You were always my friend. We did things, we went places, we shared things I never shared with anybody else. I couldn't share with anybody else. But it's strange because I did sort of imagine, when you first came, we first sort of started to hang out. I was cat sitting at Mary Beth's and you came over and you had that powerful experience with the holy shit. I really wanted to get to know you. I really wanted to find out why I had that feeling when I'd first seen you, what it actually meant, who you were, what would trigger that in me. I had some theories. I think I mentioned something at some point, but as time went on, eventually you moved into the building, and the thing was, the timing of it was so synchronous in many ways. I was really looking forward to you coming there. I thought this would be ideal, as it was. We did get to know each other, and we did do things together. But it would be ideal to really get to know you because I wasn't with Justine at that point. I'd hardly seen her. I just knew that there was something there as well, that we had something, there was something between us, even though we'd never hung out together. And when she offered me, she gave me, she allowed me to feel like actually I could escape Patty and be with her. She was just opening so much up. And this happened only because you couldn't move in because Sonia wouldn't move out. And it wasn't that I had these intentions and I had these strong ideas about what would happen with me and you. I just figured that this was real and this was here and this was now, and I should explore it and I should go for it. And I really needed to leave Patty, but I didn't want to leave. And this was a perfect solution, just to go downstairs. Go from upstairs right the way to downstairs. It was only after you moved in and settled in and went through adjustment and time, and slowly but surely I realised that if I was going to be with anyone, it ought to be you. Difficult as you can be, just as I can be, we have our issues. The similarities and the ability to do certain things, only you and I have. But I never wanted to or felt I ought to try to do anything, because the situation was so fucked up, that I was so messed up. I'd made poor decisions, and while I could imagine the possibility, you even sort of made it seem like it could have been possible for a moment to move from the basement halfway, not to the top, not to the bottom, but in the middle, to be with you in that peaceful space where I would have added, I don't know, $150 a month in stuff that I would have just picked up as I wandered around, fresh fruit from Sun Foods, and just what I did with Justine, who appreciated it at first but didn't really appreciate it. Cook, have things ready. I could imagine how much simpler it would be with you, how much more real it could be with you, but not with all of what had already gone on there. Oh, my goodness, how would I have been going upstairs to the toilet to see Justine coming out? You know, she would have had to have left. It would have been awkward. It would have been, I don't know, it would have been weird. It wasn't possible. I could never bring it up. I could never talk to you about it, because it felt like I wasn't sure if it was just another opportunity for me to escape, and I didn't want to do that to you. Everybody's life that I went into, who opened their door to me, who gave me space, I messed with. They ended up regretting it, and I didn't want that to happen between us. One room is just not enough. End of story. It probably could have worked better than any with you, maybe, but I don't know. And remember, it's almost a year, and some of this memory could have been slightly changed. One thing I know, you're special. There was no question about that. I know we argued sometimes, but it never stopped the love. It never removed the love, no matter what, because we were able to talk about stuff, and we could write. We're both writers. We could write where we can articulate thoughts. Yes, it meant that when we went at it with each other, it's like banging heads of a stag. But there was something about your ability to be powerful and intentional and capable, while also being gently feminine. And there was a nice balance. It just seemed perfect to me. Even though you also messed up your past and all of the things that had gone on, your Asperger's and so on, I could still see beyond that to this beautiful soul who couldn't quite do anything other than just be on her own. And it seemed like that seemed to be the best thing. You were free. You weren't tied down by some partnership that was difficult to sustain because too much damage was trying to be dealt with in a situation where it would just be exacerbated. That we have to be whole first. We have to heal first before we can take on a partnership and walk side by side with somebody and my friend. Be your partner is your friend, is your closest friend, your companion. That's how I see partnership. I don't see it as somebody that you just sort of see now and again, sleep together, have sort of sex together, but otherwise have separate lives, do different things. That actually we spend a lot of time with each other. We love doing things together and we find things to do that we both love. Walking in nature and so on, while also requiring space and aloneness. These things are very complicated, and it was too complicated for me. I'm not sure I feel differently now, that I don't think it's possible for me to be with somebody. There's too much difference, there's too much issue. It's too difficult to compromise when you only have one room to live in. If both have their own space, shared communal lounge, 2 separate rooms, so that both can be writing, sleeping, meditating, having alone time, but can choose to come together in the shared space, then maybe it could work. But one room, I don't know if it could ever work, not with complicated people like us. I tried it with Patty. I could never make it work with Patty. I tried it with Justine. We just couldn't make it work. And I was afraid to try it with you because there was just too much that wasn't right in my being there. And we all knew I had to come home. I had to leave. I had to come back here and do this. So I look at this every now and again. I think about this every now and again. And like I said, I've had a go at talking to you. I've had a go at writing, just to get out and talk about and let out what it is I see and feel at that time. And it's probably different if you were to listen or read those things compared to what I'm saying now. I'm sure it would have come out. It would be different because this is who I am right now. This is in the present. I actually don't want to make contact with anyone else. I wouldn't want you to share this with anybody else. I wouldn't even want you to tell anybody that you got this. This is between you and me. I really struggled the last time when I, after a period of silence, sent you a message and immediately you sent it to everybody else, and by mistake or otherwise, strangely enough, you sent it to me as well, which was what triggered that in me, and I really didn't like it. I felt like I wasn't talking to you, I was talking to everyone, and actually I didn't want that. I actually only wanted to talk to you, my friend Layla, not Layla who's a member of the group, the Ashland Manor community, just Layla. So there needed to be a lot of time to reevaluate, reassess. I didn't know that I was going to do this. I've been thinking about whether I should say something to my mum, make a little recording and send it to her. I'm waiting for her to be, she's where she needs to be right now, but she's not settled, and I'm waiting for her to find out where she's going to be, what's going to happen next. I want it to be the right thing for her. It's the right thing for her now. I will want it to be the right thing for her next. Somewhere I can come and visit, somewhere I can walk to. Whatever it is, I don't know. But just to let her know that I'm not out of contact because I don't care. I know what's going on. My sister tells me. And she's just going through the last 3 to 6 months of this illness. She's in need of 24/7 care. My sister tried here, but it overwhelmed her too. And were the virus epidemic madness fear thing not in place, there would be a place for her, and it would be known already. But we'll see what happens tomorrow and Tuesday. I had to let you go so that you could let me go, because who you saw me as wasn't the whole picture. It was only a part. It was only something I could show. There was so much missing. I never shared many things that I did, that I was involved in, that I was doing online, forums that I created, and Facebook pages. I mean, I haven't been on Facebook since last year, but there were aspects of me that you couldn't see because you only saw me a certain way. You didn't see me. You only saw me like this. You didn't see me like that. You only saw who I had become as a result of making the choice to be there with Patty and all of the Mary Beth thing. That was just hard. And then the choice to escape Patty and go into the play zone of Justine, and to get to experience stepdaughter and farm and guns and lake and all of this stuff that was wonderful to experience, but ultimately I couldn't keep. I wasn't me. I was just an image of me, her version of me, your version of me. I needed to be me. I've come back here. I've had similar issues because my mum never understood me. But it's easier for me to be me here because this is my culture, these are my people, this is my family, and I've definitely made headway in the authenticity department. So hence this recording. Hence me feeling like I can have a chat with you. I can just have a talk. And you don't have to reply. How do you reply to something like this? I mean, it might move you to say something or even make a recording. Feel free to put your iPhone on and record something and upload it to YouTube and send it to me. I'd love to have you do that. But I don't expect anyone to do that. And I don't really do this. While I do make a lot of recordings, I have recently, none that I've shared with anybody. I did intend to upload all of them to YouTube, but somehow it just doesn't make sense. But I'm really happy with them. They're a very honest and authentic look at the experiences I go through and my perspective and so on. You're the only one that I could really talk to. You're the only one who can get it. The only one who can understand on a number of levels that other people can't, just because we are both neurologically different. We are different. It's not like we're the same. And I don't feel like I expect or need any particular thing from you. I'm not expecting anything from you. I'm not asking for anything from you. I don't need you to do anything other than be you. It's okay if we don't have any kind of connection. It's okay, because it's okay that I let everything go of the past. That unless you come into the present, then you are in the past, and I can only be in the present. But it does make me, while it was interesting to share things with Patty when she was here, And it was only in the last minute that I chose to go to Penzance with her, and that was a bit of a mistake on some level. But it helped me to understand quite clearly what I needed to do after she left. To actually show you some of those things that she saw, and also things that I didn't want to show her. I wouldn't take her to. I wouldn't want to share because that was the most important, the most mystical places that I went to. But I would share that with you. That stone circle in the middle of nowhere that is not signposted, that no tourist really ever sees, that not all locals. I lived in the village for almost a year before I came across it, and I walked a lot everywhere, and there was lots of walking to do before I discovered it was there. And I had several powerful experiences there. I never took Patty there, and we could have gone there, but I would go there with you, and that says something to me, to show you those things because you would appreciate them in a whole different way. And it would be wonderful to give you that gift. You know, you helped me, you looked after me, you cared about me. You were there for me when I needed you. You helped me. You gave me an ear. There were times when I could see the goddess in you, see that wonderful soul that you are, but I wouldn't be able to hold it because I wasn't stable. I was too messed up by attempting to live a life that I just could not live. I mean, I chose to go into her apartment when there was a dog there, and I had 6 months of that, and I can't be around dogs. But I chose to be in a single room with a jealous pit bull because I thought that I could deal with it in order to be with Justine, because anything was better than going back upstairs to be with Patty. The thought of leaving and going to Florida or coming home, I somehow could never choose. I could never do it because it felt like I was giving up. And the only reason I could leave when I did was because this being here was just enough for me to go towards rather than focus on running away from, even though I knew I was also escaping. It was overwhelming to come back here and deal with here, and it was impossible for me to stay connected to you and there because I was him. And I wasn't him anymore. I was me, and I didn't know how to adapt. I didn't know how to translate that into just a virtual relationship. So I couldn't have any of it. And I don't think anyone understood properly. It just felt like, I don't know, maybe I just hurt. But I couldn't help it. I couldn't explain it. I just had to do it. I didn't want to, I just had to, and it took a while. It took a long time of deep soul searching to come to understand I'd have to let go. I'd have to let go of what actually would give me so much less. It's not like I've replaced you with other people. I don't see anybody. I mostly spend time on my own. I go sit in the cemetery a lot and find peace there amongst those who are laid to rest, just observing the few who come to pay their respects and enjoying being there. Actually, it's a very peaceful place. I take a cushion so that my arse doesn't get numb, and I can sit there for quite some time. And it's the only place where dogs don't come and children aren't running and shouting, and it's just peaceful, and it's not far. I have a lot of opportunity. You've seen, I sent pictures to be out in nature here in such a lovely way. And being on my own is fine. I don't need anybody else to walk with. If I do, it tends to be talking. There tends to be talking going on. I sometimes do it with my sister, but it's always talking. We've done walking where it's been totally silent. I can't do that with anybody else. No one else will do that. Everyone else has to talk. Patty will stop, but only because she knows I want silence. She really would prefer talking. To go sit where there is silence, not many can do it. And so there's not many I would prefer to walk not alone. You're one of them. Even Lou, who I would walk with, especially in Florida a few times, it's not the same. It was never silent. There were silent moments, definitely, but we don't do it differently. Whereas you and I, we do it in a very similar way. And could definitely look after each other. And it's like, you don't really need anyone. I know that you once said that, of course, you would like some physical intimacy now and again, but you didn't want, it felt like, and rightly so, that it shouldn't be a continuous thing. I don't know if I could have done it, but I wouldn't have minded getting in with you that one of those nights and just cuddling with you, just seeing what that was like without having it go further, just trying that. I knew I could do it. I knew I could do that with you. It was conflicted. I was still with Justine, and as I said, it was messed up. Had it been simpler, as I had imagined it would be before Justine, then who knows what would have happened. I don't know. I don't think I was really meant to be there, even though I was able to be there as long as I was, because I had to let go of and surrender and sacrifice so much that actually how I became what it looked like I was, who I seemed to be, was nothing like the man, or a lot less like the man who first turned up there. I just couldn't be him anymore. I lost myself. I felt I needed you all to look after me, and that was what I was looking for. I needed someone. I wanted someone who would give me shelter, who would give me a place to be, even though I wasn't legal, couldn't work, although I already had an IRS number, so you could say that slowly but surely I was kind of getting legal by default, just by having been there. I never really connected to the place. It wasn't old enough. Everything was so expensive. I didn't like the food. It was alien and never really changed. But yes, I lived there and we did things and I had wonderful times. And it was definitely a real life, and I never thought I would leave. If my mum hadn't have got cancer, I may never have left. But I was holding Justine back for sure, because what she would shortly do and the position she would soon get in, she really needed to do it by herself. She couldn't have me hanging around, because she would feel obligated, and we were already causing problems for each other. Many times I imagined what it would be like to just move out of there and move in with you and carry on with you as if I'd never been anywhere else but there, and for us to just find our rhythm and see what that brought. At least try. You don't know until you try. But I never brought the subject up directly. I got the feeling that you weren't really looking for that, or it just wasn't right. It just wasn't right, because if it had been something successful, if it had been something that blossomed, how would I have come home knowing I couldn't have ever gone back? That in order to see you, you would have to be the one to travel constantly, and it's not cheap, and you can't do that a lot. And I'm getting ahead of myself here. A whole nother reality that may or may never have existed, but didn't exist. So it doesn't matter how you feel about what you've heard, and it even doesn't matter if you're not sure whether you should respond to this. I'm not expecting an answer or a reply. I won't be asking you for one, and I won't be upset if I don't get one. It's just me saying things to you, and doing it in a way that doesn't impose on your time, because I know there were moments when you just had enough of me saying things to you about the issues with Justine. It was my way of feeling, I know what it was. It gave me permission to come and knock on your door and be with you when I didn't feel I had the right to do so, because I'd made a choice that I wasn't able to deal with. And while no experience is wasted, I don't regret anything that took place. Everything has given me something. I felt like the one person I could have really been with, because if you had ever really trusted me, if you had ever felt able to trust me, I would have been so trustworthy. No possibility of deceiving you or cheating on you or letting you down. My friendship, it means a lot to me. And even though I don't always do it well, when I know I love someone, that's it, I love you. It doesn't mean I have to have something. It doesn't mean you owe me something. It doesn't mean that I have to get this or do that. But I love you. You're strange and also familiar. I would have loved to have found a way to trust you more, to have experienced more of you. I'm never good at reading the signals, and I never pick up. I always picked up from you things I didn't understand. I suspect perhaps that's the Asperger part. And I've learnt that when I'm in doubt, when I'm not sure, when I don't get it, just to let it be. I don't have to decide, I don't have to know, I can just let things be as they are, and it will sort of work itself out. It'll reveal itself, it'll be what it needs to be when it needs to be it. Or it won't, and that's okay too. So I couldn't have said this then. I couldn't have said this last year. And now that I'm at this point, there's this real transition point where everything is changing really quickly, and it's hard to keep up with it actually. It's hard to feel, one moment I feel like I can't be here anymore, I just don't want to do this, I don't want to be in this environment, I want to let go. And another moment I realise I know how to live here now, I know how to deal with it, I'm not connected to the system, I get the minimum, the barest help, just dentistry and things like that, that's it. I don't get any income, don't even get what I should have been entitled to just being here as a full-time carer. I don't even get that. But I am supported. I don't want for anything, and I carry one of Mum's cards, one of her credit cards, and I get to use that whenever I buy food or whatever I need. I just have access to that, and I'm very frugal and very careful, but it's nice to have like an expense account, you could say. Even if I don't get an income, I don't have to pay expenses. Everything is provided. I don't pay bills. Get to drive a little car. I don't really want to. I much prefer to walk, but if I'm going out to pick up some shopping, you drive, so you know. It's a tiny little car. It's very economical. It does 40 to 50 miles to the gallon, and it's great. It's fine. But I walk whenever I can, even sometimes into town with a backpack to pick up a few bits, just because I want to carry, and it's a better exercise. And the weather is good, and I like to get out. So, yeah. I'm sure you would love this place. London, some of it, or at least where we are in Hertfordshire. And even to get to Penzance, even to get down to Cornwall, hire a car for a day or two, and for me to take you places that you can't even imagine, and see sights. You've seen the pictures Patty took, I'm sure, but it's not the same as actually being here, being there, feeling the energy of the place. Doesn't quite come across in the photograph. And the more sacred places that I didn't take her to, yeah, I would walk with you, definitely.